and let your strings play.
We follow the constructions?
I think we're good.
Yeah?
I think that was fine.
Hi. No, it's not a coincidence that we're all wearing white today. It's for a special event. It's also not a coincidence that I'm holding this stencil ink that was in my pocket. In fact, white stenciling. All right, let's go inside. All right, so you might be wondering why I specifically mentioned white stenciling. If you haven't stenciled strings before, the color white in stenciling tends to behave differently than other colors. Applying white ink to strings is more challenging, especially if you use it only occasionally. I researched why white ink does this, but I've yet to find the answer. I'm guessing it's something about the white pigment in the ink. In any case, it is what it is. But if you know the answer, please leave a comment. Before I get into this video, I did want to mention that I posted a previous video about a year ago called Simple Stencil Solutions. And if you want to learn more about stenciling strings, I provided a link to that video in the description section below. First, before I share this quick tip on how to make your white stenciling work better, I want to give Sam Chan a shout out for sharing this tip featured in the January edition of the Racquet Sports Industry magazine. If you don't know Sam, he's a racket stringer based in Australia, and he claims he's a little home stringer. However, he's a former professional stringer that has traveled the world and strung at all 4 Grand Slams and at the Olympics. That's quite a resume for a home stringer. If you'd like to learn more about Sam, I provided a link to his website below. Okay, now let's get into it. Alright, so typically you're going to use white stencil ink on black strings or anything that's dark. So I have my stencil ink that I've had for almost 2 years, and like I mentioned earlier, I occasionally use this. I don't use it a whole lot. So since January, when I read the tip in the magazine, what I did is I actually replaced the tip, and you can get these replacement tips, and I'll leave a link down below. It's from Racquet Art, so you can buy a few tips to replace the original ones. But I'll bring it up here and you can see what it looks like now and what it looked like when I replaced it back in January. So, I mean, this looks pretty worn out, but you'll see that it still works using the tip that I'm going to show you. So what I did is I took off this tip and replaced it with a brand new one. And you can do this probably with an existing stencil ink that's if you don't have a replacement tip, and I'm sure it'll work just the same. But I wanted to see how well it would do from having the tip brand new. So basically what you want to do is I'm using my badminton awl because you want a fine tip that's going to penetrate the, there's like a seal in this tip. In fact, when you first use the stencil ink, when you press down on it, it'll make a popping sound, and that means you broke the seal. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make 5 holes, and basically I'm just doing it kind of like at 12, 3, 6, and 9, and then I'm putting a hole in the middle. So I'll go ahead and do that with this one. So this could be the case where it could be already on the bottle, or in this case I'm doing it before I put it, replace the tip on the bottle over there. So I'm going to go ahead and show you how well it still works even when it's this worn. So I have a racket here. I just need to center the P. And so I have a manila folder underneath for obvious reasons. I don't want to splatter the ink on the table. So you just need a couple of dabs, and then you can start spreading the ink. And on my previous video I mentioned you never want to press too hard on it, and whenever you need to activate the tip, or the ink, you just dab it a little bit and then just apply the ink that way. So it's coming out pretty well. It's still working pretty, it's flowing. Without this tip before I learned about this tip, typically the tip would, the applicator tip would dry out, and then the ink wouldn't be able to come out. So having those holes in there really makes a difference, and you can see how worn my tip is, and it's still working. So I'm gonna go ahead and finish this off here, and I'll flip it over and do the other side because I'll show you another thing that I did in my previous video that sometimes can help, because by the time you get to the back side, sometimes the ink has a hard time coming out. It's almost like it's drying out. So I'm just gonna flip this over here. Yeah, so what I'm gonna do on this second side before I start applying it, I have a bottle of alcohol, and I'm just gonna do spray one time and just mist over the tip. And I'll just do this on the side so it's not going on the table here. All right, so I'm just gonna go ahead and apply the ink on the second side. So yeah, it's coming out, it's flowing, because toward the end on the first side, it was actually feeling kind of dry. And again, I'm trying to eliminate pressing down hard on the tip because that's what wears it out, the felt on the tip. So go ahead and finish this off here. And white will wear out pretty quickly, especially on polyester strings like this. So it'll start coming off after you play the first time. But again, as far as the application process, this tip makes it a lot easier for your stenciling to last a long time. So again, I had this tip on since January, but this bottle alone it's almost 2 years old. So by using this tip, you'll be able to use the entire bottle of stencil ink, and as long as you have replacement tips and you use the 4 holes that I poked into the applicator tip. Thanks for watching. Happy stringing.
And let your strings play.